setting is the rich tropical splendor of Travancore in South India. It starts with the cutting of the fruit like this. Then the dehusking, removing the outer layer. In their thousands, they are then broken open. And as for the people who do it, they're people with a family tree and very proud of it. For them, it's the tree that grew in the garden of the Hesperides and bore golden fruit. It's no idle tropical way of getting a living. It needs skill. The coconut palm grows in a dozen countries. The kernel of the nut, after being carefully extracted, is dried in the sun for a few days. It's a family business, just as though these people were peasants with a farm to look after. In fact, they are peasants who gather a harvest that grows in the air. The nut is chipped into small pieces by delicate hands. You'll find a mill like this, exactly to this pattern, as unvarying as the circle the oxen tread, unchanging as the lives of the people who made it. A giant pestle and mortar. It squeezes out the oil. What remains, rich fodder, goes to the cattle, so that, to add to its miracles, the wonderful tree becomes a pasture land for cows. From the boats and from the carts, the husks go into circular floating nets, tethered in the backwaters of Travancore's 1,000 canals. Not just anywhere. The water fields where the husks lie soaking must have a gently moving current to bring the fiber to its golden brown maturity. Water fields are rented like land, and like land, owned by families. Mud and stones are piled upon them until they sink under the water. There they remain for 10 months. Then come the water babies, spending a holiday afternoon, fishing them up again. They leave plenty behind for the grown-ups, not that it's damped her spirits. As you know, the husk of the coconut is a bundle of fibers. The bundle is broken down this way. It's hard work, heavy manual labor, and it's done by women. It's equality between the sexes with a vengeance. The strongest fiber is sorted out. And then it's spun, just like cotton, into yarn. And if you're interested in things like the Bombay Plan and India's economic future, the rest of the pictures are important. What you see here is one side of the way India can go, cottage industries. They work at home, and homes are the bricks out of which we've built our social structure. These women learn their skill at home, and they teach it to their children. Their world is the small world of the family. Small, but kindly. The spun yarn, coir, goes to market. Children take it there, in little boats just the size for them to manage. Work and play blending in one of the prettiest aspects of the cottage industry system. Now the other way, industrialization, factories. The coir comes here to pass through the hands of workers, men and women who use their skill at so much an hour. whose homes are a refuge from labor, a place of rest. Here, the coir is woven and plaited into matting. It's stenciled with designs to please the sophisticate of the town, or made into objects which the worker scarcely knows how to use. It's made into mats and bags, and what's left over goes for stuffing beds. Let's get back to the simpler things, the things they did with the wonderful tree before the days of factories, and still do. Wet eaves, woven into a waterproof thatch for simple houses, a craft as old as the first rude forest shelter against the sun and rain. Or this, the familiar sweeper's broom made from the ribs of the leaves. Not a part of the tree is left unused. The shells of the nuts make good, cheap fuel. And then the artist, who can't leave anything alone, gets to work on them and makes things like these, turning the wonderful tree into an art gallery. Well, that leaves us with the trunk. It's not strong wood, but it's a perfect natural pillar for a house. And it's a good bridge, if you can keep your balance. But you better not try to cross that bridge after you've drunk what they make from the flowers. It's toddy. But if you object to strong drink, call it vinegar, for that's what it becomes after being buried for a fortnight underground. Then, you remember, the oil. That goes to make soap. One of the things India is learning to make for herself. And a good, cheap soap, it must be very cheap, will do more for India's hygiene than all the posters and enthusiastic lecturers. Coconut oil for the hair, better, safer than any mineral oil. For lamps for boys to do their homework. While mother cooks in the kitchen, again with the oil from the wonderful tree. And last of all, the tree turns itself into a milk bar.